everybody. Welcome in tonight. I'm your host, Jessica Jones. I'm the Cryptid Huntress. And boy, do I have a fantastic show for us tonight. I have remote viewed two separate teleportation rooms, or jump gates, as they're called, jump rooms and jump gates in California, as a matter of fact. So this is going to be absolutely wild tonight. I just found out what my second target was. I have my lovely guest here tonight. I have my friend Arkheim Ra in the studio tonight, and he just told me within the hour what the second target was. And so, okay, so I'm going to go ahead and tell y'all the first target is a jump room to Mars that's located in El Segundo in California near Los Angeles. And the second target is a jump gate in Malibu, California, to Venus. Okay. And wow, do we have some crazy information for you guys tonight? It is, Arkheim has firsthand experience with these. Okay. And so go get your popcorn, fasten your seatbelts. We're in for a wild ride tonight, and it is fantastic. These are blind targets. Okay. And the data is mind blowing on both of these. Okay, so if you guys would like to follow along with my remote viewing data, I have a Patreon. That is the Cryptid Huntress over on Patreon, where you can find all of my data, all the raw data, all of the information that I put out on these shows. I put it all on there on Patreon for your viewing pleasure. Okay, so shout out to all my Patreon members. I really appreciate every one of you guys. Also, I have a website that's thecryptidhuntress.com, where you can find all of my shows, and all the goods are over there on my website. And speaking of goods, I have a shop that's called War Woman Goods over on Etsy, and you can find some of those goods also on my website. And if you guys would like to get a tarot reading, I do intuitive tarot and oracle card readings, and I'm giving out doing gift certificates and things like that for Christmas. If you need a last minute gift, y'all, it's a great gift to give. Okay. And I do have a holiday code. I will put that out on social media. I believe it's, you type in holidays and you get a big percentage off there. Okay. All right. Well, let's get to our show tonight. I cannot wait to get to this information. Okay. So we're going to start off. I'm going to tell you a little bit about jump rooms. Okay. And these teleportation modes. I guess it's like a teleportation mode of getting from one place to another. It's like a portal. Okay. Okay. So the first target that I did was the El Segundo jump gate to Mars. Okay. And you can find information about this online. I just went and did some deep digging on it. And so here's what we're talking about for our first target tonight. As a child, Andrew Bosiago, you guys have heard of him before. We've talked about him on my Project Pegasus show that I did. He claims that he was recruited to participate in a time travel program named Project Pegasus. The mission of Project Pegasus was to study the effects of time travel and teleportation on children, as well as relay important information about past and future events to U.S. presidents, intelligence communities, and the military. He claims that in the 1980s, he was recruited into a CIA-led project that involved the use of teleportation technology for travel to Mars. These jump rooms led him and others to traveling to the Red Planet on multiple occasions, witnessing indigenous life on Mars, as well as secret bases on Mars. Today, claims of jump rooms have been reported across the globe in locations such as Major League sports stadiums and certain hotel chains like the Hiltons. Disclosure Now's Arkheim Ra is joining us tonight to go over my data and to share his personal experiences with jump rooms, teleportation, and time travel. Arkheim Ra is a starseed who was targeted for a super soldier espionage mind control program in U.S. public schools' talented and gifted program. He served at Montauk under Project Phoenix and has had several alters which engaged with time travel and alternative reality programs in what he believes may have been a swap alternate reality. Arkheim's alters have also worked with Not Waffen, Mars Defense Force, Solar Warden, Lunar Command, and more. You can find Disclosure Now on YouTube. He has a great show there with our friend Brian Singh. Please help me welcome to the show tonight, my friend Arkheim.
Hey, thank you.
Hey, Arkheim.
It's good to be here, and it's always a pleasure to be on your show.
Oh, thank you, man. I couldn't think of anyone better to talk about teleportation and time travel with. To be honest, uh, I think
Well, flattered.
seriously, and you gave me a fantastic target. And you just revealed what that target was to me right before the show. Do you want to tell me and the audience about the target that you gave me?
Sure. So basically, there's a. It's. I think it's something like. I might get the number slightly off, but it's like 2220 Ventura Boulevard, and it's like a city hall type building, is what it seems like when I revisited it. And I was in Santa Monica recently, and I have an altar that interacted with that area a lot in California, and knew where that Malibu jump gate was, and actually had a desire to go there and go back to Venus. And he kind of took me over when me and my girlfriend were on vacation, and literally drove to this place. This government building. I knew exactly where it was, and I just drove to it, and it was closed because it was nighttime. But in front of it, it had the symbol, which you maybe have a picture of that. That I don't know if you have a picture of that or not, but it's like kind of like the compass kind of star symbol, and it was underneath those Japanese fence things. What are they called? I'm having a brain fart where I can't remember what it's called, but there's a name for them. They're like red usually, and they have a roof on them. And a lot of times these jump gates will have that in front of them, as well as uh, on the ground they'll have that compass looking almost like star symbol. And
Hmm.
so that was something that, like, I wasn't able to go inside the building and look around or anything like that. And but I was able to notice some really strange things about the area. There it is, yeah. And that's from Andrew Chatsky, and that's in San Francisco in front of a Hilton. And basically, this same exact symbol, painted a little bit differently, but it was the same symbol, was also in front of this government building. And so he pointed that out to me. Oh wow,
Yeah.
even that's pretty wild.
Oh
So yeah,
yeah.
the rabbit hole goes deep, people. The rabbit hole goes very deep. So yeah, and so essentially, like, I was just on this whole trip about Venus, and I had this altar that took over, and it was wild, you guys. Like, I was yeah, I just drove to this place and remembered it. And there was also stuff where I should have sent you these pictures beforehand. I didn't think of it, but basically, there's a right across the street from this restaurant, there's this eatery called something 88 Dinery or something like that, and
Hmm.
88 is like a what you would call dog whistle for Heil Hitler. And
Oh,
yes, and
okay.
there's all this weird, like, veiled Nazi, like, uh hat tips, like Aldolfo Road, and all this weird
Mm.
stuff in there. And also, one of the roads was named after a native Venetian people. I can't remember what the road was called, but I remembered, like, going past it, remember, oh yeah, there's like people on Venus that are called that. And it's a little hard to go into, like, all the memories because I was in an altered state. So to explain to the viewers, these CIA programs or government programs, not just the CIA, the Air Force, all these military agencies, I was taken by them as a child, and they fractured my consciousness through trauma programming. They kind of programmed it like a computer, and they created pocket personalities which exist inside me, but they can pull them forward and put them into clones and put them into service and stuff like that. So that's where I interacted with the Venus jump gate, was in one of these programs, which was connected to the Navy. So this was a Navy program. I remember that, and I remember driving into the area and just getting goosebumps because the signs were all saying, like, that we were in a Navy area and stuff like that. And yeah, this jump gate, Ventura Boulevard, Malibu, California. It's got that 88 diner. I can't remember the exact name of it, but all these. It's very strange, and we were there, and the vibe was like a horror movie. Like, it was like a it was like 8 or 9 at night, but it was like there was no one around, and the place just felt very plastic and fake. And I can only imagine that those people there just like just I I don't know anything about Malibu other than my one visitor there, and it just seemed like the people that there, it seemed like a plastic town with people that are probably like really heavily under mind control. That's just my brief analysis of it without really interacting with it very much, but it just was very, very odd. And yeah, that's where I remembered the Venus jump gate, and that's why I want to give you that target, is because I kind of remembered that building, and I had the altar that go there, and I remember it all and stuff like that. And I have memories of things that he was remembering and stuff like that about Venus, but I can't like connect to those memories myself, if that makes any sense. But um, yeah, it was really mind blowing to actually just like drive to this building and see that it was real and remember it, and also the weird, which shout out to my girlfriend Cataphilian, for she noticed that I wouldn't have noticed it. She was the one who noticed all the weird like Nazi like stuff that was very unsettling. So and a lot of that has to do with, you know, the Nazis or the Germans, or you know, whatever you want to call them, these groups, we kind of lease out Earth from them. We think that we like won the war or whatever. In a way, we made things work for us. We, you know what I mean. We didn't lose per se, but we also have agreements with them, and there's more to meet the eye than what goes on with the whole situation with what happened. And it's they're a very bad group. I don't support what they do at all. But they're definitely heavily involved both in this reality and alternate realities and stuff like that. That you know, there's a, you know, with how, you know, Hitler and stuff was so under the occult and all that stuff like that. Like the jump gates and all that stuff are connected to it. The cloning and all that stuff like that too. So yeah, sorry if I'm going on a little bit of a rant, but yeah, that's where I encountered that jump gate, and it was to Venus, from what I recall. And from what I recall, you can just jump in there, you can just walk into that building, and if you know, you need to have like the right credentials or whatever. You can't just walk into the room, but basically you walk into a room, and um, it's you know, I can't remember exactly how it works, but there's a jump gate there, and that's why I was really curious, because since I got to that building and then it kind of ran dry from there, and I kind of went back to normal after a little bit, and I was my normal self again. That's one of the reasons why I wanted you to remote view it, is because I wanted you to see stuff about it, maybe tell me stuff about it that that I don't remember right now, but maybe if you told me about it, it might help me activate some of my memories and get some of my memories back about this building, because I have a feeling that there's more than just this Venus jump gate, and that there's just, in general, a lot of weird stuff going on in California. In general, just like a lot of portals and jump gates and everything else. So
Okay. Yes. 100%. Okay, so I'm gonna change my schedule a little bit here, because I had it kind of organized to talk about the first target first. I want to go ahead and start. I want to talk about the Venus jump gate first today. Okay, we're gonna talk about this first, since you gave the overview of it and why you wanted me to remote view it. Because I did get a lot of interesting data out of this. Okay, and I want to make a note that Malibu is in the vicinity. I mean, it's not too far from like this other jump gate over here at El Segundo that was my other blind target that I had. I do have kind of a map here. I believe I should have a map. El Segundo. Okay, this is El Segundo. I just found this online. Okay, this is in the area Malibu, LA, El Segundo. It's all right there about where that red star is in California. Okay. Um, well, I don't know what is going on here other than Arkheim. There's got to be some sort of very high energetics, some sort of major Stargate right there. There's something going on there for there to be so much high strangeness in that area. Wouldn't you think?
yeah, it's also the area where there's like, you know, a lot of musicians that have really bizarre ties to the military come out of that area too. And then there's also a movie that people should check out, that if you're really into this whole conspiracy rabbit hole, jump gates, tunnels underground type stuff. It's called Under the Silver Lake, and really excellent movie that just kind of shows how this like society operates within our own society right underneath our noses, and we don't even realize it. So highly recommend that people watch that, and it's based in LA as well. So
Wow. Okay. So let's just go ahead and get into the data of this target that I did for you. Okay, for the Venus one. Okay, so now we hear about there being Venusians here on Earth, like Valiant Thor. Okay, he was supposed to be from Venus. Also, Nikola Tesla was from Venus. Um, now, what are your memories of Venus, and what do you know? Before I get into the data, what do you remember, or what do you know about Venus, and why are Americans going there? Why are humans going to Venus?
So this is the main thing that I remember about it, and people have told me that I should be careful about talking about this, but I can only attest to what I remember. Uh, um, Elon Musk is from Venus. His whole family is from Venus. That's what I remember. I remember that he has a cloning factory on Venus, and it's very screwed up what he does. He messes with like genetics and stuff like that, and there's sex slavery involved and things like that. That's what I remember. Is it an alternate reality or something like that? I'm not sure. Um, but that's what I remember about Venus is a lot of memories of Elon Musk and his connections to Venus. And then apparently my altar had like an apartment there on Venus. And it's kind of like underground. Like it's all underground, like in caves and stuff like that, is what I remember too. And that's basically all I can attest to. Also, they kind of have their own language, Venusian, and oh yeah, I also remember that they have. I remember that they have like bars where like very young women will serve you drinks and stuff like that, and if you have enough money, you can buy the woman for like sex work or whatever you want to call it, and that's another thing I remember, and steampunk, very like Victorian steampunk like vibes. That's what I remember about it. And all these memories came forth that night in Santa Monica where I got in the car and I was like, babe, we're gonna drive. I told her like obviously the place wasn't open, we couldn't even walk there, but I'm like, babe, we're going to Venus.
We're
Like,
going to Venus.
I was
No.
set on it. I'm like, that jump gate's there, like we're just gonna walk in the building like we own the place. They probably recognize me. I'll probably just be able to walk right in, and they'll probably just think I'm altered out. Let's just try it. And obviously, the building was closed because it was late at night, so we couldn't do it. But just to drive there and verify that the building was there, that was it was a good thing for me to do to kind of ground myself and like remind myself that like, and then also with all the weird symbolism that was all around that area that nobody's ever going to notice it. They'll walk right past it. I think that's something that I really want people to take away from this interview with me on your channel, is that there's all this communication happening right before your eyes, where if you don't know what they're talking about, then you don't know what they're saying, and you might not even realize there's communication happening there. You think you know what I mean? But there, that star symbol that's on the ground, like people just think, oh, cool decoration, it looks nice. They don't think it's a symbol that actually means something. And I just want people to understand there's a whole lot of that going on in society. And I'll reference that movie again, Under the Silver Lake. It really shows that really well. Of course, it exaggerates it. It's a Hollywood movie. It's not 100% on point with all the facts, but it's a great film that just kind of opens your mind to that reality, makes you realize like, like, yeah, it does make sense. Like there is this whole world that exists right underneath our world where there are people that are walking right past you on the street, right? That you have no clue. Like these people in Malibu, right? Like that live there, that are normal Earth people or whatever you want to call it. They have people walking past them probably every day that were just on Venus and stuff. That's wild, and that's hard to accept. It's hard for people to wrap their mind around, but that's the reality of it.
Yeah, I think we're getting used to the fact now, or to the idea that not everyone is human walking around on this planet. We're not all like organically from this planet. There's a lot of people, a lot of star seeds. If you watch my shows, you're fully aware. Okay, the people who watch our shows, Arkheim, they know. Not everybody is who you think they are, and so that's why you gotta. There's that movie. What is it called? That movie where you put on the glasses. It's like They Live. I guess
Right.
you put on the glasses, you can see like who everybody really is and stuff. I mean, we all need a pair of those cyanide goggles.
I'm not even who I thought I was. Does that make any sense? Like this
Yes,
whole Arkheim Ra,
totally.
like I discovered that 4 years ago or 5 years ago, whatever, that's my real name, right? And it scared my friends, scared them away. They don't talk to me anymore. So this certain group of friends I had, I freaked them out. You know what I mean? But that's how deep it goes. It's like, yeah. So if I don't know myself, like, and then people just don't realize like, yeah, just how deep the rabbit hole goes. It's just absolutely insane. Like, and when you think about the fact that they have people programmed with altars that they can turn on at certain times and get to do certain things, and then they can walk through that portal, do something for 20 years, and then walk right back through it through time travel, and they were only gone for 2 minutes or not even 30 seconds. And that's like, when you start wrapping your mind around that, it's like, that is just, it's just unbelievable. And that's the big aspect of this whole jump gate portal stuff that people need to understand is, unfortunately a lot of it's being used for kind of nefarious things, like they would tell you about this stuff and this technology that exists if it weren't for the fact that these corporations and these groups that have them, they're kind of doing some shady stuff with them, right? And so let's get into that. What did you see with when you remote viewed this building? What did you see?
Yeah. Okay. So this is a blind target. All right. Totally blind. All my targets are blind, y'all. Okay. But this is, I just want to state this because when I'm giving out this data, Arkheim, you gave me a set of numbers. Okay. And so, so when I went to this target, I felt like I was floating. Okay. So I was floating, drifting. But then I felt like I was stuck. Some of my sensory data, this is my sensory data. So flexible, bending, moving, breaking. My AOL, this is like the analytic overlay of me trying to make sense of what I'm experiencing, right? And so this is some of the stuff that I wrote down. Sleep and conscious, but I would, okay, so what I was experiencing while I was remote viewing this is that I was in like a theta state. Okay, so I was asleep, but I was highly awake. I was fully aware of everything around me, but I was asleep. Okay, so I was fully conscious, but I was teeter-tottering on being paralyzed. Okay, so I was like almost like a sleep paralysis while I was doing this. I saw a chair and cables, wires. I was picking up on hot wires.
Okay.
And I was picking up. Okay, what's that?
Explain that. That's a trip chair. So that means that they can have an individual, normally a child, unfortunately, sit in the chair and focus on a mirror, and the mirror will open a portal. And that would explain that. So that would mean if they have that, okay, this is what you need to understand, and the viewers need to understand, is if you have a portal that operates like that, because that's what we had at Montauk for Project Phoenix, you can go anywhere in space and time, and you can go to alternate realities. It is a literal doorway to anywhere in space time, and that we're not just talking about this reality. We're talking about alternate realities as well. So that is my guess, is that somewhere in that building they have a trip chair, so that way they can go anywhere. They can just dial in the coordinates and go, because that's the safest way to do it. There's no radiation poisoning. There's no, you literally it's like they focus on a mirror, and the mirror literally just turns into a doorway to that place. You just walk, you can see it on the other side, and you just walk right through.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I 100% was picking up on a chair that was hot wired. That had a whole hot wired to me is like when you hot wire a car to steal it or something,
Yeah,
but it was something that was hot wired.
Hot wired means that because it's hot wiring your psychic skills.
Oh my gosh.
Activating them. That's what it does. It quadruples them, if not tenfolds them. It makes them so much more powerful. Because like, I actually had the ability at Montauk, and I my consciousness, like Tony Rodriguez talks about it, it's all split up right now. So I'm a watered down version of myself. But when I'm full, okay, I can open up portals on my own. But most people can't. They need that trip chair, and that's what that is. Is if they have the trip chair there, they can open up the portals to anywhere. So that's really what I think that is, and that's why it's there. It's hot wire someone psychically, like you said, and so that they have the ability to turn that mirror into just a doorway.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
it does the same kind of thing. Like, okay, if you imagine an apple, the apple will actually appear. You can eat that apple. That's what that chair does, because it makes you able to, and so that's why you're able to look at a mirror and imagine, just imagine psychically with your mind, a doorway to wherever it is you want to go, and then you can go there. So that means that the building has a doorway to anywhere inside of it, which is huge, obviously, right? So we're blowing the lid on, right? That's public, putting that out there is public knowledge now. This is stuff that people normally don't get to know.
Okay, well, I'm gonna back up what you just said, because I'm gonna go down. I have more data that coincides with exactly what you just said.
Okay. Let's do it.
So I picked up on a chair, cables, wires, hot wire, brain function. I literally wrote brain function. That was the next thing that I wrote. And then I wrote down theta, which is a brain state. It's almost like you're kind of in between this world and the next. Okay. Movement, REM, like rapid eye movement. I picked up goals. And then I was picking up on a stadium setting. Okay. Like a stadium. And I wrote down setting, seating, or seeding, like SEEDING, like star seeds, basically, like seeding the planet or something. I also heard I was picking up on something about breaking out or breaking free of something. And I drew a really interesting drawing, which looks like a Stargate, actually. Okay. Now I was seeing something that was circular and cylindrical, and I heard in my clairaudience, I heard, Houston, we have a problem. Okay, so I heard that, and then I wrote down astronaut. I also was picking up on blacking out, or something that was blacked out, and then I heard go through. I wrote down rollers, controllers, and bank rollers. All right, that was some of my data. I was feeling like something was being forced on me, and I was being guided as well, forced but guided.
Man.
Okay, what's that?
Okay, you got into like kind of the vibe of who they're making do this. Okay, goals would be the military people or whoever it is are telling this child. It's probably a child. Okay, and that's an aspect of this people need to understand. They're telling this individual their goal, meaning you need to open up a portal to this place. You need to make it happen. Focus on the target. Okay, and then when it comes to so goals, that's goals. And then of course you're talking about the theta waves and all that. They have to be in this altered state to do it. And also what else did you say? You said goals, and then
Okay, goals. I said goals. I was picking up on like a stadium, a setting with seeding and seeding, like seeding the Earth or seeding another planet, or seed like a star seed, SEED, seeding.
Okay, so it sounds to me like they're using this jump gate to seed other worlds, potentially, or maybe even other realities. And that's where the altar thing comes in, and that's what people need to, my job here is from trying to help people understand, is that they can take your consciousness, okay, and they can put it in a clone and send it to, whether you can exchange the clone here on Earth or wherever you send it, doesn't matter, same difference. But basically, I guess it's better to do it here, or they can do it in the alternate reality and just keep you on ice, as you would call it, keep you in stasis, keep your body exactly the same. But basically, they can put you in a clone, and they can put you into a fetus if they want, and or whatever. And basically, what I'm getting at here is they colonize the way they begin it when they colonize the planet is with all clones, because clones can reproduce and stuff like that. I don't know if I think there's some people who believe that clones can't reproduce. They can. That's a fallacy. That's how they seed colonies is clones and sending them through jump gates and stuff like that. So that's what it sounds like to me, is the seeding. In the stadium you're seeing, I remember there being stuff where they would test us for our abilities, and they would put us in And this is just my guess, but it sounds like one of those situations where this kid will get put into situations where there's people watching them, and this individual that opens these gates, they might get put in the situation where they're tested for their abilities in front of all these people, and in a situation where maybe they have to use them in combat or something like that. Because that's the thing that they would do to me, is they would, put me in a stadium with some sort of creature or something like that, and then I would have to defend myself in order to not get squished or whatever, and I'd have to use my abilities and stuff like that, and people would be really impressed by that. And yeah, so that could be what the stadium is for. Because if it's a stadium, then they're witnessing something, and usually those kind of situations in these programs are bad. Now, if it was it's also there is the small possibility that there's some sort of diplomacy happening in the situation. But it's a place where people talk or something like that. But it depends. It sounds to me like the stadium. If you're seeing stadium, you're not getting a diplomatic kind of vibe from that. So my guess is that there's some sort of Hunger Games kind of BS that they make people do, and they go through and watch that there or something like that. Or this kid has to, because you're picking up on the vibe of what the person that activates the chair has to go through. So I think you're getting some residual stuff from the things that they experience, and that stadium thing might be connected to what they have to experience, is because they very much so make you prove your abilities and use them in situations. And yeah, the stadium thing is also something like, Donald Marshall has talked about this, and a lot of other people have talked about this, how they have these really kind of sick environments where they'll watch crazy stuff and get away with it because it's clones who can't you can't they don't have rights. Clones don't have rights. Clones don't exist, so they don't have rights. So they can get away with some pretty wild stuff.
Okay, Arkheim, I gotta say, did you see the last page of data? I wrote down Hunger Games.
Did you really?
I swear to goodness I did. It says Hunger Games. Yeah. I haven't gotten to that part yet, but yeah, I was picking up on everything that you're talking about. Written in my data.
See, what people need to understand is this individual that we picked up on is in hell. Okay, this is a person that has rights, sovereign rights that are being violated. And for all we know, it's a time displaced version of me that she's picking up on, literally.
Yeah.
I could be in there opening portals for them because of time travel. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I talk about this stuff, is because there's human trafficking going on right now. There's human rights that are being violated, and this individual that's opening these portals, okay, people need to not get distracted by how fucking cool that is. That what? Like, all of time and space is available to us? Yes, that is cool, and it's really sad that they're lying to us about that. But the bottom line is that the manner in which this person is being used, and how this technology is being coveted, in the way they're treating the people that they treat them like slaves. So this person, they're being put through Hunger Games. They're being put through horrible things, and they're being forced to open portals to other realities. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. Our military should be treating these individuals that do this stuff for them good. They should be, but they don't even. The very least they could do, if they're not going to pay them, right, is treat them good. But that's not the case, because these organizations that are behind all this stuff are all in on a Luciferian cult. They worship Baphomet and Satan and Lucifer, and that's a whole aspect of this that people need to understand, is these programs. It's all connected. Really good way for people to get into that and wrap their mind around that is, I did some interviews on my channel with Daryl James, and he talks about Michael Aquino, my Disclosure Now channel. If you want to go into that, and the satanic connection to these military agencies and the time travel and all that, black magic is very much so connected to it. That's also a thing that you see with the Nazis and with Hitler. He was very much so into the occult and black magic. And what people need to understand about that is it's actually real. There's truth to it. There's a reason why they were so into it. And so yeah, we have a situation where that poor individual, whoever it is, that's sad. And I've been there. I know what it's like. So I really sympathize, I empathize with this individual and what they're going through. And I can't believe how spot on you are with your targeting. This has been absolutely fascinating. And I think that this is a great testimony to the truth of these programs and the fact this is actually happening. And I'm going to definitely share this far and wide because I think this is important research, that an important example that's being done. And I really appreciate you inviting me on the show and helping bring light to the situation and helping me explain it really clearly to people.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm glad to do it. I think this is part of full disclosure on a lot of these topics and things that you've been through, and a lot of people that I've met over this past year or two, with the secret space program. And I met you at the Journey to Truth conference this past year, and it's really it's brought a lot of enlightenment into my life on a lot of stuff that I was not aware of. Yet it was coming up in my remote viewing data quite often. And so I too have had Daryl James on my show. Daryl's a friend, and he's talked about a lot of these underground bases, and has really, we're able to back each other up on my data and your experiences. Okay. And so this is really awesome because I 100% had no idea what these targets are. I didn't know what this target was you gave me. And here I am pretty much explaining all of it that is in your story. I don't even know your story behind all this until just now.
There's another thing that I got when I was there, and it's sad, but and it's everyone knows it at this point, but that's the P file capital of Earth.
Yes.
Area. And what people need to understand is these celebrities and these people with lots of money that live in these areas. The cloning aspect is huge. It's a huge part of it, and that's why a lot of them aren't getting busted. And well, none of them are basically. I mean, we had Pizzagate come out, and people mock it and think it's all some joke or something like that, and it's really sad because you can look into that with an open mind for 5 minutes and see that that's real. Like it's 100% real. Like, but yeah. Anyway, and I just think it's important that I just bring up that that's an aspect of this. Like, it isn't. It's yes. There's other planets and aliens and all that stuff, and it'd be nice if we could join our star family, and that's a huge part of it. But also, we're trying to expose these dark criminal networks that are hurting children and human beings in general. That's a big part of why we're doing this. But
yes,
and the other jump gate with Andrew and stuff like that, because it all
And oh my gosh! Well, I've still got another full page of your target too here, the latest one. So let's finish this one, and then we'll move to that one. Okay.
First, we can do another one where we talk about Andy stuff, and I have his phone number. Like, I could potentially get him on the show with us. Like,
oh my God, I would love that. I would 100% love that. Okay, so and so he was part of a program where when he was a child, he was teleported and sent back. He's actually in a picture at the Gettysburg Address, y'all. Okay, and we've just discussed this a long time ago on a former show that I did on time travel and Project Pegasus. Okay, but our government has been using especially young boys, but young girls too, in a lot of these covert operations for a long time. Okay, so I want to finish up this target, and then we'll move on to Andy's stuff. Okay, with the Mars jump room, because that involves a former president of ours as well. Okay, and okay, so I was saying, I was feeling like I was getting instructions from somebody. I was being told what to do. I was being forced, but they were guiding me. I heard it was go time, and I could have no fear. Okay, I heard no fear. Okay, don't have any fear. But then I was also picking up on there would be retribution if I did have fear. Okay, and it said do it or else. And so I had to do whatever I was remote viewing. I had to do it, and my survival depended upon it. Okay. And I also wrote down that I felt like I was tricked. I felt like something was bad and malevolent. I wrote down mind games and Hunger Games. Okay, I felt like I was playing the Hunger Games. I also was picking up on dark forces, something that was corrupted, malice, something off planet. I wrote down interplanetary and off planet. I also was picking up on something interdimensional. And then the very last bit of information I got was something about the longest mile or the longest yard. And then I ended it. I actually was getting, on both these targets, I actually got kicked out. I was shut down before the end of the target.
So, I don't know if you're familiar with well, I don't want to distract from the interview, but what Courtney Brown says that he does when this happens, he does this. So he found some ET, that a higher vibration, higher consciousness
Hmm.
ET that is willing to help him in these situations, and his team, the Farsight Institute team, I guess what they do is
Hmm.
they piggyback off these benevolent entities that want to help, and that's how they always break through, is by piggybacking on these more powerful beings. So maybe you need to make
Yes.
make a couple friends or something like that, so you can,
Make some friends.
yeah, break
I
through as
know.
well.
Well, I'm actually taught not to associate with anybody out there. Okay, so I don't. When I get shut down, I leave. So I have a different mode. I was taught differently,
That's
I
always
guess,
been
by
my
my mentor. I
that's
don't want to
always
get
been
sucked
my
in by somebody who's pretending to be good. You know what I mean? Because that's happened to me in real life.
Yeah, and
So
also just with these targets where
3D life, I mean.
kicking you out like that, if you break on through and you still look at them, they're not gonna like that, and they might come threaten you or like do something
Oh,
with
I
that.
know. Listen, I've got some stories. I'll tell you off air. Something weird happened to me today, but I don't want to talk about it on air. Okay. And I think it had something to do with these targets actually. Um, and I think that my internet just kind of got weird when I was saying that.
I
Um,
I I wonder sometimes why they don't mess with me, but I think it's because they are afraid of me. Because in these programs, I wasn't not a guy that you wanted to fuck around with at all. Like people that knew me can all testify to it. Like yeah, and if they were to come at me, some men in black or something like that, and try to intimidate me in the here and now, which God forbid, like I'm not trying to start shit with them, but like I feel like it might activate an altar, and I feel like it might not end very well for them because I can do some pretty wild stuff. Like in these programs, that's why they took me. They trained me to do some pretty insane things that if I were to tell people some of the stuff I do, it'd be very hard for them to believe, but I did it. I know the stuff I did. Stuff like reach in to like other realities, reach into them with my hand and grab something, remote view, okay, and see something that I want and just open up a portal into that reality. My hand comes out and just grabs the thing I want, grabs it, pulls into our reality. I did stuff like that at Montauk. And I could open portals, and I could twist people's intestines with my mind, and choke them out with my mind like Darth Vader. And so these people out there that maybe are watching this, some of these CIA people. So if you want to fuck with me, I might activate, and that might happen. So watch the fuck out. And
uh-oh.
well,
Yeah.
I don't, and the thing is, I don't want to challenge these people, but at the same time, like they're the ones who kidnapped me when I was a child. Like they're the ones who fuck with me. Like I didn't fuck with them. Like as far as I'm concerned, I'm not the one who I was a child. Okay, they're the one who started this shit. So I
Yeah.
just but that's the reason why I feel like I haven't had the threats and stuff like that. But maybe I shouldn't have said that out loud because now they might be like, "Oh, that's why you think that's why." Now we're gonna fuck with you and prove that's not why or something. I don't know. It scares me, but
Well, let's not put that energy out there. Okay.
yeah,
You're
well,
protected tonight. Okay. Don't you
spotlight.
worry.
It's part of hiding in the spotlight. Being a public person is you kind of want to say when they mess with you because then all these people know about it, right? And then if something happens to you, there's going to be
That's right.
accountability, maybe. So that's one thing to think about. But anyway, let's go on with this. Sorry,
Okay. Okay, well let's move on to this, okay? And Channel Warhorse says no fear is a Department of Defense policy. Interesting. Okay, that would tie into all this then, because I did write down no fear, have no fear. Okay, so the first target was another blind target. Okay, this is in El Segundo, California. Okay, there is allegedly a CIA laboratory. There's an elevator that transports human beings onto Mars or any other planet with a solid ground. The technology came about from reverse engineering of a crashed spaceship, is what I've been told, which was sent from Alpha Centauri. Okay, made famous by that movie Avatar, from what I understand. Um, let's see. Well, Two top CIA officials have come out to talk about this jump room, and one of them is Andrew Basiago, who you, Arkheim, have interviewed before. And he said he I think he's the biggest whistleblower. I guess you can call him a whistleblower, right? But okay, so we're going to get into the data because the target was this jump room to Mars. Okay, it was this jump room specifically to Mars, and it was for. Okay, there's a story that Basiago tells about he and Barack Obama actually going together to Mars through this jump room and both being groomed by the CIA to be president. Okay, and part of their training was like going to Mars to go do some training and stuff there. Okay, and that's what this first target was that I did. Okay, we can get into more of the information on that, but I would like to, let's go ahead and go through the data. Okay, so on this target, it was that Stargate or jump room, I guess it's called the jump room in El Segundo, the alleged one. Well, let me tell you, I think it's more than just alleged because there's a ton of data on this. Okay, and okay, so the sensory data on this one was fast, quick, blurred, blurry, something that was hot and cold. I was feeling pressure, and something was getting started, like it's getting started up. Okay, so the AOL, which is like the analytic overlay, what I was experiencing and how I was interpreting it, it was speed of light, something that was super fast, speedy, clock or clocked. Okay, so clock would indicate time. Okay, so clock, forward movement. Arkheim, I wrote down by the power of Gray Skull. Okay, that was from He-Man. I don't know what that has to do with this target, but it was something to do with like lightning bolts and Skeletor and He-Man, I guess. I don't know. I was getting that kind of a visual while I was remote viewing. Okay, and I actually wrote down lightning bolt. Okay, lightning bolt. I wrote down decisions made. I was hearing lost in space. Okay, that kind of stuff. Let me see. Pressurized. And I was hearing that Rolling Stones, I think it's Rolling Stones, that song Start Me Up. So I wrote down Start Me Up. And I wrote a very interesting sketch that looks like, I kept seeing, and I wrote this down twice in the data. I was seeing one of those tubes that you put into the bank teller when you go to the bank and you put your money in the tube and you send it through that thing that it's like pressurized, or it's like a suction cup, and it takes your cylinder into the bank.
Okay, so that sounds a lot like the jump room that Andrew describes, where it's like an elevator that takes you there, which is kind of weird and kind of hard to explain and kind of hard to wrap your mind around. And he also talks about how, the amount of time that it took to get to Mars depended on how close it was to the planet Earth, in its orbit. And it sounds to me like, yeah, you're describing like the tube is like the elevator, you know what I mean, like sending it to Mars is kind of what it sounds like.
Yeah, vacuum tubing. Yes, everybody in the chats, they know what's up. Yeah, like a vacuum tube or something. That's what I was seeing, and I actually wrote it down. Like I drew pictures of it, but I was drawing what I remember seeing at a bank teller. Okay, but I was getting a whole lot of like machinery data stuff that was like heavy and spinning, and I was hearing a lot of electronic beeping and stuff. God, my remote viewing, a lot of times I'm hearing songs. Like I heard Rolling Stones, then I started hearing Aaliyah. Okay, do you know who Aaliyah is? Mm-hmm. I was hearing that song back and forth, back, forth and forth. So I was hearing that, and so I wrote that down. I was feeling like I was weighted down, and I started getting visions of the gravitron. Okay, there's this ride at the Huntsville Space Center in Huntsville, Alabama. I wrote it when I was in 6th grade, many years ago. It was called the Gravitron. I don't know if they still have it or not, but it's where you get in and I don't even think you're strapped down. You just lean up against this like, it's like a board or something. It's like a cushion on it. And the thing spins around really fast, and your body levitates with the chair. And then you kind of like go back. So I was getting like spun around really fast, like I was in the Gravitron at Huntsville. So that's what I wrote down, and it was just a whole like and I heard another song, Imagine Dragons. I heard All Systems Go. It's like in one of their songs. So I wrote that down. But I was just getting like all systems go. Um, I just felt like I was pressurized, like I was in some kind of a container, and basically I blacked out. I blacked out at the end of the target. I had to I shut it down. I got blocked out, and I blacked out, and I got blocked out. Okay, so I immediately shut the target down at that point. But it was really interesting because I mean, the information was definitely like I was getting catapulted somewhere. Okay, and I felt like I was in some kind of cylindrical tube.
Yeah, that's kind of what that's how Andrew describes it. It's not the mirror opening. It's a different way, and so that's another thing that people should
Okay,
understand too about this. Like the public that's trying to learn more about portals and jump gates, is they're not all the same. There's different modalities. There's different types. There's ones that you keep open. There's ones that you open and close intermittently. There's the Tesla teleporters, which give people radiation poisoning. So that he invented a teleporter, Tesla did, but the problem with it is you'd get radiation poisoning, and that was one of the problems that Andrew Basiago actually had. Is he's actually sick because of it. He has health problems because of the radiation in the here and now, which is these people should give the government organizations that put people through this should, like, at the very least, they should like help Andrew out. You know what I mean? For what he, help him with his health problems and stuff like that, and give him money, like, but that's a whole nother thing. But yeah, so there's different modalities and stuff like that of jump gate, time travel, and stuff like that, and it's not all one size fits all, one way of doing it. You know what I mean? It's kind of like,
yeah.
if you're to fly through the air, you can fly in a helicopter or a blimp or an airplane. There's different ways to do it. It's not necessarily all the exact same technology.
Okay. All right, that's interesting that you would say that Andrew Basiago is having health problems because the two gentlemen that walked into the portal on my team, out in the field, we're doing some research. What we could consider to be a portal, I mean that could be similar to like a Stargate. To me, it did feel like it was kind of man-made, but it was more of a cube shape. It wasn't like a round, what you would consider to be like a Stargate or whatever. It was, and Dave Pardue, actually, Dave is in the chat tonight. Hey, Dave. He's part of my team, and he is the one who spotted the portal in the meadow. Okay, so Dave's here in the chat tonight, y'all. From North Carolina, Cryptid Research, Carolina Cryptid Field Research, y'all. Okay, so he's the one that spotted this thing, and it was a gigantic cube. Okay, and you could only see it though with your night vision, your FLIR, your thermal device, and both gentlemen that went into that cube got very sick. Okay, one of them has passed away, and the other one has a pretty aggressive form of cancer. Okay, and we do measure like radiation, and a lot of times when we have anything paranormal that we would consider to be paranormal, there's a spike of radiation, Arkheim. So it would make sense that anyone who's been subjected to any of these programs is going to have had high doses of radiation. So that would 100% make sense.
Yep.
That he's sick.
Fortunately, I usually am in a clone body, so I don't have the problems. The programs that I was in, actually are way more advanced than the programs that Andrew was in. And the stuff that I was exposed to, is way further along the road than what Andrew is exposed to. So fortunately, I did the modality where we walked through the mirrors, and we actually did figure out how to open up jump gates that we kept open, but it was refined to where you didn't get radiation poisoning from it and stuff like that. So because it was
Oh wow.
later along in the experimentation. Well, I shouldn't call it experimentation because they had to experiment to refine it, I guess is what I'm saying. They had to figure things out as they went along. It was very avant-garde kind of stuff. But yeah, so that's one fortunate aspect that I have is I do not have the same health problems and stuff like that he has. But yeah, it's definitely a kind of proof of his testimony, though, for sure, that he has these ailments that go hand in hand with radiation poisoning. I don't think it's any coincidence at all.
No. Well, it's just like you hear stories about the soldiers, like from the U.S., like the Air Force, the Army, the Navy, whoever. All of our military personnel who have gone to retrieve crashed UFOs. Okay, the UFO retrieval. Um, I've heard their lawsuits from their families and stuff for them getting brain damage and being hurt. But then I've also heard that there have been like helmets made to where they wear these helmets now and they get near these crash sites and stuff and nothing they don't get affected like that anymore. So it's all trial and error, people just learning, I guess, and taking the precautions. But the technology that we have is like so beyond what we can comprehend, and that you're a testament to that.
Yeah, it's
Arkin.
crazy, and they're using it. They're using it in some pretty like nefarious ways. Like like I have a whole experience I had where went to the Swiss hotel, and I won't tell the whole story because it's so long. But basically, I got kidnapped from my hotel room, brought to another hotel room, and then put into a clone, and I did like more than multiple 20 backs. And so like the Swiss hotel chain, they've got rooms that have stand-up mirrors, and they'll use adepts, people who can open them without trip chairs, to open them. I actually know the guy in the here now that opened the one. Well, we don't know each other personally, but we know each other from the community. But yeah, so that's like just a wild thing, and like it's just crazy, like because like contracts. That's like such a huge thing. Is this? It's like I get to the hotel, and the guy turns around the thing to me, because we're trying to pay. He turns around the thing to me, and there's just all these like it's like this huge like contract, and instead of like reading 3 or 4 pages of a contract, I'm just like, dude, I just want my hotel. Like, I'm exhausted, so I just sign it. But that when the lady came in the next day, because she came in my room, and I was like, what the hell are you doing in my room? Like, it woke me up, and she's like, oh, house cleaning. I'm like, I'm here for a day. I don't need a house. You do that maybe if you. What are you talking about? House cleaning, like housekeeping. You know what I mean? And she's like, it was in the contract you signed. And then I thought, I was like, yeah, there was a huge contract. And I think that South Park did an episode about the contracts and how stupid they are, and like that's kind of what I feel about it. It's like I didn't sign a contract saying you can kidnap me and bring me to another planet. I didn't even read it. They're taking advantage of people being in moments of like whatever where they're not going to read the whole contract, and then oh, you agreed to that. And it's like just because I signed it, you purposely put me in a situation where you knew I wasn't going to read it. Like, and so I don't think that holds up, in my opinion. I think when you get consent from someone, it needs to literally anyway, that's a whole thing. Like the Hilton hotels, we didn't even get into that. All the Hilton hotels all have jump rooms in them, and they have the underground. They're all connected to the underground subterranean network. And there's that pretty sure. Don't quote me on this, but I think they're being sued right now for sex trafficking, being connected to like criminal organizations and stuff like that. So there's the rabbit hole goes incredibly deep. The rabbit hole is a portal. It's a wormhole, and that's how deep it goes.
I say that all the time, Arkeem. I say that my rabbit hole is I went down to the rabbit portal. Okay.
Yeah.
And there's no hole. The hole is it's like Mel's hole. If y'all know what Mel's hole is.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever heard about this, but there's like an actual government thing. You know how like the buildings, they'll have different areas that are separated by how much clearance you have. Well, I heard there's one, I can't remember which one it is, but when you walk through at the front of it, the they literally have like a little statue of the Alice in Wonderland rabbit. Because once you step through that door, you are stepping through the rabbit hole, and you're seeing that world that exists, and you're in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Wow.
yeah, there's that reference as far as like there's Alice in Wonderland is actually like an MK Ultra programming thing. Like they'd show us at Montauk and stuff like that, and a lot of the Disney stuff is all connected to that. But that's a whole other thing. Clearly, you and I need to do more interviews together. We have a lot to talk about.
We do. Well, we need to do some more of these targets because we're obviously unraveling a lot of important information that I would say this doesn't come out of nowhere, but it really does with the remote viewing. But when you give me these numbers, I have no idea what those numbers are. And I'm able to really extract a lot of information out of those numbers. So yeah, and speaking of extraction, let's talk a little bit before we go tonight about this whole Obama and Basiago trip to Mars. Okay, because I think the audience would appreciate this. It's really interesting. Okay, so and I am going to be referring to an article that I found online. This is there's a whole lot of information about this, but this is from Michael Sala, okay, online. And this is from 2015. Okay, this is from a while back. It's been about 8 years or more. But he was saying that Andrew Bosiago ran for president back in 2016, y'all. Okay, and he ran partly based on his belief that he was pre-identified as a future U.S. president in a CIA DARPA-run time travel program called Project Pegasus. Of course, we know what Project Pegasus was. Most of us do, but if you don't, it was a project where they were sending mostly children back into time to gather intelligence from of past and future world events, including the election and upcoming presidents. Okay, so of course he also said that he was part of this jump room to Mars back in the 1980s. I believe it was 1980 to 1984. Bosiago said that he used a jump room, okay, that led him and others to travel to Mars on multiple occasions, witnessing indigenous life on Mars, as well as secret alien bases there. In 1980, at the start of the program, Bosiago claims that Barack Obama had also been pre-identified as a future president, and even Bosiago himself was destined to become a president. So Obama was told, because they were both serving in the Mars Jump Room program and were being trained under Ed Dames. Okay, by the way, Ed Dames is one of the most well-known remote viewers. Okay, that's what I'm doing right now. Ed Dames is a very well-known remote viewer who is part of some special projects, let's just say, in our government, in the military. And this was all based out of California too, which is interesting, Arkheim. Mm-hmm. So he said that he and Barack Obama were actually roommates while being briefed about upcoming jump room teleportations to Mars. Obama was not only aware of his presidency when they were being trained in 1980, when he was only 19 years old, but they were rooming together briefly, and that's when he was given the document saying that he was going to be president. Okay. And he said that the CIA was actively grooming Obama for the presidency, briefing him on documents, giving him all sorts of secret documents and stuff. I hope I don't get in trouble for talking about this, okay? But this is for entertainment purposes only, like I always say, y'all. But let's see. So let's get to the jump room testimony, shall we? Okay, so... And they're also, okay, so Corey Good's in on all this too. And I don't know how you feel about Corey Good's testimony and everything, but he was a big part of exposing a lot of this too, Arkheim. But yeah, they were saying that Obama and Basiago they used jump rooms out of El Segundo to go to Mars, okay, for entertainment purposes only. Thank you. Was that Cosmic that wrote that? Thank you. But yeah, there have been multiple other people who have claimed to be part of this teleportation program to Mars, including Brett Stillings, Bernard Mendez, and other prominent people like Regina Dugan, Mary Jean Eisenhower, and Admiral Stansfield Turner. Okay, I don't know who a single one of those people are. Okay, but those are some of the names that came forward and said that they had been a part of those programs as well. So yeah, basically it was just it's just a part of, this is like people shaping our history, Arkheim. Okay, this has huge implications. Like we're upset, we get upset about this Mandela effect and stuff, like why is this book not the same? Why are the lyrics different in songs? It's so much bigger than we can wrap our minds around, right, Arkheim?
Yeah, I know about it. So here's an interesting example of that. So when I would come back from a time mission at Montauk, where I would go back in time to change something, um, like I talked about, the technology would evolve. So eventually we had a computer that would tell us what was going on and what we changed and stuff like that. But before we had that, Preston Nichols would actually send me to a gas station, outside the time bubble we were in. Send me to a gas station to buy, a soda or whatever like that, and to see if they would still accept the money. Okay, and because to see if the money would have changed, and so normally I'd go in there and it'd be fine, and he'd take the money, but sometimes I'd go in there and he'd be like, "We don't accept monopoly money, son." Like, you know what I mean? Like, what is this? And I also remember that I had like a red cloth on my wall in my room at Camp Hero, and it had coins, a bunch of different coins from alternate realities on them. So yeah, it's good. It's pretty wild, and there are alternate timelines. A lot of different people in the super soldier, whatever you want to talk about, community, are saying different things about this. This is what I've experienced. The multiverse is real. There are all sorts of different timelines. A lot of them interact with each other and they know about each other. There's also an AI, because reality is basically inside of a computer. There's an AI program that can eat entire realities. That's part of the reason why we all communicate with each other, is because most of us don't want that to happen, right? So, and there's also, but there is the timeline that we are all on. And when Montauk from what I understand, I'm not a scientist, but from what I understand, from my perception of it, through what I experienced and what I'm experiencing now, is when we would go in and change something, this timeline that we were all on together would change. Everything would change. And so in the original timeline, the United States, the South won the Civil War. That's how it happened in the original timeline. And because of that, the United States didn't advance the way it was supposed to. A lot of its brilliant minds got lost, put to the wayside, and we just didn't become the world power that we became. And obviously, we didn't want that. The Montauk Project didn't want that. It was an American time travel project, so they changed that, and they just did everything they could to make the United States more powerful. But it's also arguable that the United States wouldn't even exist to begin with if it weren't for Montauk, because there is the whole thing where James Rink went with Preston and they talked to George Washington, and we went back, and I think we might have had something to do with the assassination of President Lincoln, and just all sorts of stuff it gets deep, but yeah, we are involved like that. That's what I can testify as far as the alternate realities and Mandela effects and everything else. Like, yes, we are jumping from reality to reality because of different programs. And it's all very confusing, because it's like it all has to do with what wavelength you're like tuned in on, I guess, like that too. Because like we are all, there's this idea, and a lot of people think it's like new agey BS or whatever, that you kind of decide by your vibration what timeline you're tuned into.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah,
absolutely,
that's 100.
absolutely. That's why I tell everybody, like, always raise your vibrational frequency if you can. Like, don't live in fear. Okay, try to do things that make you happy. Get on your highest possible timeline.
And
Maybe the best version of you.
the first thing they did at Montauk to help them make this, because they're this nefarious, satanic, negative, dark group. The first thing they did was they broke our spirit and made us in a fear state. So that means, I tell you right there, they made us, they did things like beat us, rape us, they fed us dog food, woke us up with fire hoses with cold water, just treated us like absolute shit. And it was to put us in a fear vibration so that we could create this world that they wanted to create, because it's all connected to Satanism and Luciferianism. That's something that I like as an experiencer of this, as my cover altar that lived a normal life, quote unquote. It took me a really long time to get how it's all the same thing: the black magic, the military, the sci-fi aspect of this all, why they're lying about it, yada yada yada. It's all connected. It's all the same thing. And what it is there's a secret society, an esoteric secret society that exists within our own society. It's a separate world. These people, it's security clearances. These people that have these security clearances that are in the know. They're that's how it works. And everybody in these secret societies too. It's funny. They think they know everything. And then some guy will come along that has a higher security clearance than them and show them they don't know fucking shit on a regular basis. It's so multi-layered. And another thing too about these programs, sorry if I'm ranting, but they don't tell you what you're doing or why. Like, I remember being a 15-year-old kid at Montauk being sent on time missions and stuff like that, and I was like, why am I doing this? Why?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're gonna have to tell you. And I remember like freaking the fuck out on Joseph Powell, and in particular Jimmy, and he remembers this too. And I was just like, he's just like, you don't get to know why you're doing what you're doing, or you don't get to decide. You don't get to decide what you care about or what you don't care about. You just do what we fucking tell you to do. Now get in the fucking, walk through the fucking gateway and go fucking do your job. You know what I mean? So that's another thing that on every level of this. It's compartmentalized information, and there's all these secrets. And on the other human colonies, they lie to them all the times and stuff like that too. And yeah, it's just a lot to unwrap. It's a lot to unravel, but that's why I have my YouTube channel and everything else, is because I really want people to understand this. And I think that you're doing great work on your end with helping people understand cryptids, and the fact that like it's not weird that there are dog people and that there are like these different creatures, Bigfoot, stuff like that. It's not that crazy. Go out into the woods sometime and see all the different wildlife and stuff like that. There's no difference than that. You know what I mean? There's all this every day. We see all this genetic diversity, birds and fish and deer and all the, what I mean, apes and all these. The genetic diversity on Earth is crazy. That's why it blows my mind that if you tell people, yeah, there are people that are dog people walking around, or guinea pig people, or cat people, or whatever, they literally look like that. Rabbit people, all of it, like. It's so important for people to understand that. So it's good that you're doing that work, because that's a big part of it. People should. Our fear of ET, of things that are different than us, is a huge detriment to us. And I really hope and think that your channel is hopefully helping people kind of understand, like, we're not the only people on the playing ball on the court. We're not the only people out there. There's all these different species and stuff like that, and we don't need to be judgmental or weird about it. We just need to accept it. And honestly, it's going to be so enriching if we get to that point. I'm going to say when, because I want to manifest this. When we get to the point where we're finally on the galactic playing field and we're out in the open with everybody else, it's going to be enriching. It's enriching to think about it. Like, people go to China and they learn and they step away from their culture and they learn so much more, and it enriches them, and they take that with them for the rest of their lives, and they're a better person for it. Now imagine that, but you go to another planet. It's going to be like that, like times 10 million, right? Like, you're going to learn so much. It's going to be such an enriching thing. And that's something that these ETs that are out there, that have craft and can go wherever they want, they're just being enriched beyond belief, learning and experiencing. And that can be us. It can be this beautiful. I talk about a lot of doom and gloom, but the reality is like, they're doing bad stuff with this technology. I want you, the public, to know about it. You the people watching the show, to know about it, so we don't have to have the doom and gloom anymore. So we can have the Star Trek future. So we can go out in space and think of how beautiful that would be. How beautiful it will be. We have to manifest this and we have to make this happen. And the first step is holding these military, or believing people like me, and holding these military organizations responsible and saying, you can't use this technology to hold humanity. We're not going to pay our tax money to hold us down and keep us back. You need to start using this technology to benefit humanity, to benefit humankind, so that we can be part of the galactic picture, and that we can, it's not something that's going to happen overnight. We're very kind of childish. I feel like that's part of the reason why we're in this. We're fighting wars against ourselves. How are we going to go out there and get along with everybody else, right? We have a lot of work to do, but it does start with kind of holding our military accountable. You know what I mean? That's the first step to all of this.
Yes, 100%. It's well, it's becoming aware of what's going on for the general public. I think it's important for us just to discuss these things that are going on, and then we can start healing it. Okay, and trying to find a solution to a lot of this. We need to try to come up with solutions, and we gotta work together here. Okay, and not make fun of each other and tear each other down and stuff, and just keep an open mind about all this. Okay, like I know a lot of this for people who've never heard of the secret space program and have never heard of jump rooms and aren't familiar with this. This is a lot to take in, and I'm sure there are people watching the show and listening on podcasts right now that are having a hard time wrapping their head around this. Okay, but I have gotten to know you very well, pretty well over the past year now, or at least since May, I guess a half a year, Arkheim. But we've spent some time together, and I consider you a friend. Okay, a good friend of mine, and I think that we do have a lot more work to do, and I was able to validate things that you had gone through, and you're able to validate some of the stuff that I have looked into. Okay, with my remote viewing data, so it makes for a good team, and I look forward to doing more work with you. Now, do you have any final thoughts tonight on these jump rooms to Mars and to Venus?
Another aspect that I just want to say real quick, I guess that's important to understand, is the reality swaps. I called them bubble swaps. It was in the description in the beginning of your show. And essentially what that is so I was working at this school where I was being taken to different realities, and there's 7 different realities I was interacting with. 7 different realities, okay? And that's something that I can testify to is that there's a theory that people put out there because they noticed that maybe the Daryl James version of Solar Warden is a lot different than the John Charles Moyen version of Solar Warden, right? And the hypothesis that a lot of people have come to or come up with is that these are alternate realities. It's not the same reality all the time. And I'm here to tell everyone as a Montauk time soldier, alternate reality soldier too, it wasn't just time, that yes, there are alternate realities interacting with each other, and the alternate reality aspect of this is important. And they do have military programs where they're aware of each other from the alternate realities, and they will do what is called a bubble swap. So that way, this person from reality A will go to reality B and vice versa. And then when they're done with the 20 in back or 30, and another thing is it's not always 20. They do that for the normie average people because the human psyche can't handle it very well. They take me for a lot longer sometimes because different people can handle it for a longer period of time. But anyway, what was I saying? They swap you in the different realities. So you go and serve in Solar Warden, some other reality, and then they put you back. And then because they know some of us remember, and those are usually the people they do it to. If you're not remembering stuff, they might not bother to do all this crap. But if they know you're, because they can see with all the abilities that they can tell if you're remembering, and they know they watch these videos and stuff. So if you're remembering stuff, they will a lot of times do these swaps. So that way, when you come back to talk about what you experienced on the internet, it's not even going to line up with everybody necessarily because it's not the same reality. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm not still getting taken in this reality to do stuff in this reality, but I'm saying they mix it up to make it really hard to differentiate. And that's one of the reasons why we need full disclosure now is because there's no way that how am I supposed to sit with the fact that I've been to so many different realities and how am I supposed to sift the information and give the public like an actual clear picture? All I can do is do my best job. I can tell you what I experienced. But when you bring that aspect into it, that they're bringing people to alternate realities so that they come back and tell the people here a bunch of bullshit because they weren't even in the same, they're in a totally different reality. You know what I mean? Like that's actually happening. And I have not heard anybody else talk about that. So here I am. Anybody else that remembers this, please talk about it because it's important. Like, yes, like they're doing that. Like people ask like, there's a lot of reasons behind it, but they say, well, why would they take you and do all this stuff and then like put you back and let you just live your life? Well, a lot of it is because people don't believe us. A lot of it is because it doesn't start that way, but it ends up that way, if that makes any sense. Like reality is always changing. So it might have been too late when they figured out, oh shit, he's gonna get his memories back. It might have been way too. They would have had. They couldn't undo what they already did. It would have been. It was way too late. There's a lot of reasons why, and another thing too is the reason why they took us Montauk time soldiers is because Penny Bradley talks about how they did this like experiment with the butterfly effect, and she said that they figured out that certain people have more pull on this reality than other people. Meaning, like you can send somebody back in time, and then like take an apple or something like that, and Joe over here won't do it, nothing, no changes. But then you send John over here back in time. He has more pull, or whatever you want to call it. He takes an apple, the same thing, does the same thing, and for some reason it changes all this stuff. They realize that because certain people, for whatever reason, and I'm oversimplifying it, you know what I mean? But for whatever reason, there's certain people they realize that are kind of filler. They're kind of just, they're there. It's not that their lives don't matter. Everybody's important. I don't like this whole NPC thing. It's like making people not value human life, right? But like everybody's life is important, but it's just like certain people's their decisions and what they do and how they interact with reality affects the timeline a lot more than other people. That's what they figured out. So what did they do? They started taking the people that affect the timeline more. Now, they might have realized this guy's gonna get memories back, but fuck it, we're gonna get so much done, dude. The amount of shit that I did for them, the amount of work, the amount of stuff that they got out of me just talking to, and how many people are actually listening to me and believing what I say? 10,000 maybe, I don't know, out of billions of people on this planet. Like when you really think about it that way, we're barely making a fucking dent, and it's sad, but we have to start somewhere. And I appreciate every single person watching this and paying attention and believing me, because I think it's important. All these people that are in these space programs are talking about this stuff. They're victims of abuse. And I think a really terrible response to abuse is to gaslight the victim, ask them fucking demeaning questions, make them prove that what happened to them happened to them. Not that we shouldn't provide proof. We should provide proof. But the thing is like, first step is just me like admitting what happened to me. I don't know. And people just need to give us a space to, I just feel like, I don't know. I think you get what I'm saying. Like people need to give us a space to tell our story, and they need to listen more, because how would I, we got people like I'm over here saying this stuff, and then you got people like in other countries that don't speak the same language as me and stuff like that, saying very similar things. We're not communicating with each other. Like so much. That's the part that always blows my mind is when like for instance, like I talked to Kat about how I remember there was some woman or some little girl at Montauk that opened up a portal inside my chest and killed me. And then in the interview with James just did an interview with 2 Montauk survivors, and they talked about that in the interview, and we never communicated about it. That always blows. Like even though like I know it's real and stuff like that, sometimes I still like feel crazy, right? Well, then when stuff like that happens where we all remember the same things and we weren't even communicating about it, like that's where it gets really real. And another reason why I'm doing this is because a lot of you people that are watching this show that gravitate towards this, who knows, you might have been part of one of these programs. We know that 10 to 15, maybe more, 1,000 children died at Montauk. We're talking about the missing kids from the milk cartons, missing homeless people, stuff like that, just lost, died. And those are the people that we lost. Then how many people did they not lose and they just put back? So dude, I'm just one of many when it comes to Montauk. I was high level there actually, which that's true. I was like a commander of sorts. I was actually commander of a whole legion there, and they called me the Shield of Baphomet. It's all this stuff, but at the same time, there's like tons of people that got processed through that facility and used as time soldiers. And not only just use as time soldiers, sometimes we do stuff like we take someone, give them some programming, and just put them back. We do that all the time to people. Just take them, program them to live their life differently, and then put them back. And you know that like Clockwork Orange thing where they have like the eyes open and they're showing them all the images and stuff like that? That's literally what we would do. Take them in the night, put them on all sorts of fucking drugs and stuff like that. Could we take them through a portal, put them on all sorts of drugs, open up their eyes, put certain images at them, and we knew how to make people want put certain desires in their head or certain thoughts and program people, and then we could put them back, and we knew that programming would change the course of their life. And we'd do that.
Oh my gosh. Well, you got to think about like televisions too, because televisions are portals. And even, I've got a kid, so I see how impressionable children are, especially their, young children's minds are, just in front of a television. I mean, there's so much programming going on through our televisions
Disco balls were
alone.
literally invented by MK Ultra agencies when they shine certain colors on the disco ball or certain music and stuff like that. It will activate assets in the club to do certain things. That's a common scenario, a common retrieval point for these programs is nightclubs and stuff like that. And Daryl James even talked about like when he got taken to one of his 20 and backs, he remembered like seeing these guys on the floor that were clearly just at the nightclub dancing. That's clearly where they were. Alcohol is the prime time for them to come take you because they can put you in a clone. You can be fucking wasted, and they can take your consciousness, put it in your clone, and you'll be sober. And then when they put you back in your body, you're going to be none the wiser. So that is they literally wait for that moment a lot of times to take certain assets. And also you're more programmable. You're more like kind of in a status, like relaxed and kind of like, that kind of state where you're being more suggestible. And so that is a huge part of it. I remember that recently, how like disco balls are actually like an MK Ultra thing. Like I swear to God, like they're related to it because they shine the colors on them and they pulsate the colors with the music. And if they do it the exact right way, it's like a color sound like programming that can literally turn on altars. And what's crazy about this is, so let's say that there's a situation like this. This kind of stuff has happened, okay? Where like that you're at the nightclub, you're dancing, and you black out that night. You had a good time. The next day, you just think, wow, what a wild night. You talk to your buddy, hey, Carlos, wasn't that wild? Yeah, you were gone for a while. Oh, really? Yeah, whatever. You don't think anything of it. Next thing, but what you actually did is you like went out and fucking murdered someone. This happens to people.
Wow.
You hear now, like, and they
Did
don't
you
even
hear about? Well, did you hear about the people that were complaining after they left a Beyonce concert recently? They could not remember the concert.
Taylor
Swift too. A lot of these big pop icons, they're
into the military industrial complex.
They're hypnotizing the people at these concerts, and there's all those laser lights. I mean, even at big gigantic EDM festivals and stuff like that. I mean, the laser shows are really cool, but when they're doing all the flashing lights, the strobe lights, and the hypnotic symbols and things, and they're flashing all these symbols and it's just programming the audience.
The Weeknd concert recently, he had it on, they did a screenshot, and he stole a lot of my songs, by the way. That's a whole nother thing. Like, fuck that guy. But anyway, there's this thing that said, Hail Satan. Like, and it's all over the internet. And okay, this, you get a pass when you're like a shock rocker, Marilyn Manson kind of guy. Like, okay, like you're just doing it for clout, to look cool, to be edgy, right? But The Weeknd is The Weeknd. Like, that guy's obviously just a real Satanist. Like, that's my opinion. That's the facts. I can say, y'all can think it's my opinion, but that's the facts. Like, that guy is a fucking Satanist. And so are so many, like, Taylor Swift is a clone of Zena LaVey. Everybody, you look into it. Like, and then Zena LaVey is also a clone of this woman from the Breakaway Colonies and like from an alternate reality or something like that. It gets deep, people. It gets crazy. But like, yeah, it's just, they depend on people. It's like you said, a lot of people watching this probably can't wrap their mind around it. That's kind of what they depend on. They depend on people that is like, even for the longest time, I'd have memories, I'd have weird things happen to me, missing time, and I'd laugh. I just kind of laugh it off. Because what else are you supposed to do? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know. You've been through a lot. You've been through a lot. And it's
I've got kids out there.
Yeah.
That I barely remember them, but I still miss the hell out of them. It's just the stuff that I have to live through, the things that I have to experience. Like, it's not cool. Like, the justice needs to fucking be had yesterday. Like, it's still happening to me. Like, and yeah, I just appreciate every single person that actually listens to my testimony and I'm not saying just blindly believe me. Go out and research some of the stuff. Go look into it yourself a little more. There is evidence. There's stuff that lines up. Look into Zena LaVey and how she looks like Taylor Swift, and fucking ask yourself, how is that a coincidence? Look at you can look.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And you could Michael Aquino. There's a whole book called the Franklin incident, or the Franklin. he got busted doing having a pedophilia network. Excuse me, the censors don't like that. A pedophilia network, connected to daycares in Nebraska. He got busted for that, and all he had to do was dress like a fucking vampire and wear like a cape and go on Oprah and literally just say exactly who he is and what he's about, but make it look kind of ridiculous and silly. And that's all he had to do. That's all I had to do. And then people were like, "Oh, this guy's a fucking kook." You know what I mean? Meanwhile, he was getting away with unspeakable horrors. Unspeakable horrors.
Horrible. That's horrible. Oh my gosh. Yeah. There's all these things are just so tied in together, and it's really sad. It's really it's not comfortable to talk about this stuff. I understand that. And but we're here to kind of shine the light on a lot of this. Okay, a lot of the stuff that's going on. And tonight we were mostly focused on these jump gates and stuff. And but those jump gates are also, they're tied into all this 100%. Because it's all the same networks. It's all the same people using these things, okay, to go off planet and to do stuff off planet in different realities. So, wow, it's a lot to take in, y'all. I know everybody's watching, but I know everybody has really enjoyed this tonight, Arkheim, and really appreciate your testimony and you just coming and talking about all this with us tonight. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here tonight. Okay.
Thanks for letting you go like 30 minutes over what we expected, you know.
It's okay. Oh no, it's perfect. It needs to be told.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you for your time, and thank you for
You're welcome. You're welcome.
All the people watching this, if you're interested in this information, what I'm talking about, you want to learn a little bit more about it, find my YouTube channel. It's Disclosure Now with an exclamation point, youtube.com/disclosure known. And yeah, give my channel a follow. And we're trying to keep it up to doing an interview every week or having a video every week. Every once in a while we screw up, but I'm pretty sure that we're gonna get better and better about that. You know, I'm pretty new to this, so. But yeah, I've got tons of interviews. We just did an interview with Tony Rodriguez, so that was a big deal. We've got my interview with Andrew Basiago up there. We talked about him a lot. So, and then also maybe look out in the near future. I'm gonna have to call Andrew and see what's going on. I know, like I said, he has health issues and stuff, but I'm sure, depending on his medical condition, that he'd probably be more than happy to come on the show and talk with you a bit about jump gates. So maybe part 2, we could bring Andrew on the show and have him talk with us. That would be great.
Please, I would love that. I would so love that. Oh my gosh, yeah. And I've been watching Tony too. He's been making the rounds. I believe, I think he's going on Midwest Night Watchers here pretty soon, maybe this weekend. So I can't wait.
Maybe we could bring it up. I know it's a soft reveal or whatever, but let's just say there's a chance that me and Jessica might be speaking at a conference in Florida next year in July. So keep everybody stay tuned on that. The details aren't finalized. There's a lot of ducks that need to get in a row before we can really like make the major announcement, but I guess teaser announcement. We're like 90% sure we're going to be speaking at a conference in Florida, Tampa area this June. So that's something that's pretty cool to look forward to, if you ask me.
Yes. Okay. Well, Brian was on my show last week. He gave me a blind target of the black goo. Okay. And so we talked about black goo. I remote viewed that. That was a fantastic remote viewing target last week. So
I haven't gotten around to watching it.
Oh gosh, I'll send you the link. It's so good. And so he did make a kind of an announcement about the conference. So it's public. It's public for the most part. But yeah, I'll be there. Shoot, I can't wait. I'll be there with bells on. I can't wait.
My first, because I did speak at the Journey Truth conference yesterday, or last year, but I kind of just filled in for somebody, and it was kind of last minute. And I'm not speaking on an official capacity this year, but I will be there and I'll talk with people and stuff. But I'm just there to support and be part of the community and just see everyone. And then, yeah, I'm really thrilled that this is going to be my first official presentation that I'm going to do. And my presentation will be on altars and the Montauk Project. That's basically it. That's what's in. Well, and time corporations in general, but basically how they use altars and clones. That's going to be my presentation. So
Oh my gosh, I can't wait. Well, I'll be talking about remote viewing and cryptids, and I'll probably be talking about some of these in person. We'll be talking about some of the targets that I've done for you guys, from you to Brian to, working with
It's gonna be.
whoever's going to be there.
I don't know
Yeah.
if you saw, and just obviously we can't reveal details, but I don't know if you saw the list yet of everybody who's going to speak, but it's really good lineup. I'm really excited about it. We have some people who it's just an honor to share be at the same event and speak at the same event as them. It makes me proud of myself, and just yeah, just really, I'm really, people, like, please take the time. Like, if you've been a follower of James Rink's work, anyone out there, who this guy's been working so hard, so long, and this is kind of like his first, like, all right, I need to throw a conference, and I really hope it goes amazing because he deserves it. And everybody that's working on it with him, because it's not all him, all awesome people. And I just know it's to the people that take the time to fly out and attend, it's going to be amazing.
Oh my gosh, it will be. Absolutely. We're going to make it amazing. It's going to be so fun. And I hope everybody will come and hang out with us. You get to hang out with us live and direct. Okay.
Yeah, it's always it's so different. It's so much more personal, and it really hits you that much harder when it's in person. So can't recommend
it. Does. It does. Thank you, Gerald, for posting all these links tonight. Gerald from Midwest Night Watchers, y'all, please go subscribe over to his channel. He has been posting all of Arkheim's links tonight, and it's amazing. Thank you so much. I appreciate all my moderators for being here. I want to thank everybody for being here. You guys are like a big family. You're my extended family, just like you are too, Arkheim. And so please go subscribe to Disclosure Now. You look it up on YouTube. It's actually Disclosure Known, KNOWN, if you're looking it up there. But it's Disclosure Now with an exclamation point. Okay. So Arkheim, we have more work to do. Okay. So I'll be seeing you again soon. I hope you'll come back very soon.
Giving me an excuse to reach out to Andrew too, which it's nice to we chat a little bit every time I call him, so that'll be nice to talk to him, and hopefully we'll get him on the show, and just a lot of cool stuff to look forward to. We're both working pretty hard, getting a lot of bread in the oven, or whatever people say.
Bread in the oven. We got some buns in the oven over here.
A lot of stuff cooking, but it's good.
We got some buns.
Yeah, we're getting done, so I'm excited about that.
Me too. Well, I can't wait to do this again. You guys look out for part 2, hopefully with Andrew Bosiago, who actually was part of Project Pegasus. Andrew, I mean, that is going to be a fantastic show if we pull that one off. Arkheim Ra and Andrew Bosiago with the Cryptid Huntress over here. I'd love that.
Because he's not on the internet as much because he's blind now. So, but we'll figure out how to get him on the phone and everything.
Okay, we'll make it work. Whatever we need to do, we'll do it. Okay.
Perfect.
Awesome. All right, you guys. Well, y'all come see me this weekend. I'll be at Spaced Out Radio Sunday night at 10 p.m. Eastern. I have Heidi Pop out of California. She lives in Los Angeles. So we might be talking about some of these jump rooms on Sunday night since she lives here. Okay. And yeah, once again, thank you so much, Arkheim. I will see you soon. Okay. You take care. And I'll see you guys this weekend. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week. A great weekend. If I don't see y'all again, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, whatever you guys celebrate. I hope you all find you all well. Okay. I love you guys. We'll see y'all this weekend. Bye. Bye, Arkheim.